When I first wake up in the morning, and I always have an alarm, I'm not one of these people who naturally wakes up super early, but I do like to get up early. But I don't like to wake up, if that makes sense. My alarm goes off at 10 to 4, and those hours before I start my job, which usually is at 7 or 7:30 in the morning, that's when I typically start meetings. That time is really precious. It's precious because I'm not tired from a work day. My mind is telling me I'm tired because it's still the middle of the night. But what I know is that if I overcome my natural inclination to either stay in bed or go downstairs, feed the dogs, let them out, and then lay down on the couch for 10, 20, 90 minutes, right? If I overcome that inclination, and it is a natural inclination, because remember, I know the value of that time, and I appreciate the value of that time, and I still want to go back to bed. I think everybody does. I don't know. There's a lot of people will talk about up at 4, but they're like Navy SEALs, aren't they? So they're up at 4 because they've got they have a mission. I don't know. I get up then because I like to have time to do things that need to get done in the day. Need from a spiritual, for lack of a better term, creative compulsion. Like, I know that the chances of me writing in the evening, and there is time in the evening, but the chances of me taking an hour between 7:30 and 8:30 at night is approaching nil, even though the time is there, right? Because my mind's not there, but my mind is there in the morning if I can convince my body to wake up. So where am I going with this? Well, one of the things that develops with a consistent meditation practice is the sort of wonder and beauty of the practice itself. So at first, when we practice, whether it's calm abiding concentration practice, whether it's Dzogchen, or in this case, whether it's a chant and prayer practice, at first it's a strong effort is required to get onto the cushion, to start. And as you can see from what I'm saying, that effort never really goes away. But it shifts from being an imposed effort to being not motivation, but instinct, an instinctual effort. So my morning practice is what's called the Ngondro. So it's a series of chants and prayers and visualizations that are foundational to the Bon practice, the Tibetan practice in general. It is, it evokes the tradition, the chants evoke the guru, the teacher, my connection to the lineage, refuge prayer, compassion, generating the heart and mind of compassion, positioning myself within refuge. There's consideration of impermanence, and this prayer of confession, which I've talked about this before, but the confession prayer is more a visualization of neuroplasticity, right? The ability to recognize when I've made a mistake, recognize when I've not manifest its full potential, and a commitment to do so in the future. It's a bit different from confessing a sin and receiving absolution. And then 3 heart mantras. There were three of them. That's why it's called the 3 heart mantras. 3 heart mantras of Bon Buddhism, which is sort of recognizing the nature of awareness, generating a compassionate heart, and understanding karma. Those. Okay, so, and each of those comes with a chant and with visualization. So it's a very active process. It isn't other parts of my practice, the practice that we teach on Saturday mornings, the calm abiding practice, which is much more moving towards equanimity. The Ngondro moves from that point of equanimity and also helps arrive at equanimity, because the chants contain teachings, the chants contain guidance and direction. It's Dharma, right? It's an encapsulation of the Dharma. But it also, because I begin with sort of energy breathing, the 9 channels, the 9 breaths, the 3 channels, there's more of an active shift. Okay, but what always strikes me with this practice is that at the end of it, my sort of phenomenological awareness of self is crystalline. It's jewel-like. Right? The practice has sort of embedded itself in my field of awareness. And that's beautiful. It's a wonderful, peaceful, focused, resonant, radiant space. And then through the day, I can pull out my malas, I can do a quick mantra, and I can recall that space. I think a big part of practice is recognizing, and then whether that's recognizing this cultivated state, whether it's recognizing distraction and sort of awakening, doing that more often and having the duration longer. So let's say a dozen times during the day, for a fraction of a second, I can return back to the cultivated space of the Ngondro. Beautiful, right? And yet, with all of that, there is still an effort for me required when I first wake up. Because when I first wake up, look, it's like I brought this up to the Daily Stoic. It's Ryan Holiday talks about this quote a lot. Marcus Aurelius, where Marcus Aurelius says, basically, man, it's tough getting out of bed, but it's not what I'm here for. He says, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. And I think that with this quote, it's vitally important to understand what the word work means. Because I talk about getting up early so I can do my practice and I can write, take the dogs for a walk, all before I start work, by which I mean the sort of my participation in the capital marketplace in modern America. But we have to think of work as the effort to be a human being, a part of which is how do I do the things I need to do in order to sustain myself and my family, because I live in this society. For Aurelius, work was, he was the emperor, so he had a ton of work to do. But the question, there's an implied capitalization whenever I use the word work. It's the great work, which is how do I approach any experience, phenomena, task, requirement from that cultivated space of sort of jewel-like wisdom. Does that make sense? What do you think? So, I'm all for sleeping in. And it's interesting to me to watch what do I do when I really can truly do whatever I want. And quite often it is take a nap on the couch. It gives my heart's desire to go to sleep. I don't know. But then the connection that happens when I write or when I do these videos and kind of share Dharma, man, that's something else, right? That's the work. That's why I can get out of bed in the morning. We all need something. We all need something. And I think my suggestion is, as we start to build a daily practice, build into it pleasure. And I don't, right? Pleasure's a word like work that is grossly misinterpreted. I mean pleasure like Socrates meant with eudaimonia. It's sort of the pleasure of knowing that this is the right thing to be doing. But for example, when I listen to music, there's usually one or two pieces that have captivated me for a period of time, a day or two or a week or whatever. And if I'm going to listen to some music, the chances are it's that piece. Like there'll be a playlist on Spotify that's a song or two. So there's some choral music that I heard a few weeks ago that's just extraordinarily beautiful by Patrick Hawkins. So I put that on and I play it while I'm practicing my Ngondro. Sometimes for the whole session, sometimes just for the first few minutes, just because it's not a distraction. It's another, but for the same reason I light incense or a candle. It's to cultivate a space, because our practice is to become familiar, and that requires comfort. There's plenty of time for austerity in practice, and don't worry, I do plenty of austere practice, as you do as well. But that first moment in the morning, we want to cultivate the comfort and generosity of the body, comfort, the mind, settling, calm, comfortable, and that cycle that occurs with each breath, and then with each day, with each week, with each cycle of the moon, with each year, calendar year, solar cycles, galactic cycles, it all moves on. So there, I wonder what I'll call this video. A cultivation of a beautiful morning practice. I'm not sure if I went anywhere with this. So let me know in the comments if I landed anywhere. Keep your wits about you.